I am Margos Biology's Kithera Vex 9, and I must record this impossibility before it consumes us all. The moon screams, and the void carries its voice like a blade through adamantine hull plating. The first law of acoustics, burned into my cortical implants during my novitiate on Forge World Lucius, states that sound requires matter to propagate. Vacuum is silence absolute. Yet here, aboard the Mechanicus exploration vessel, Omniscia's Reach, approaching the Ork-held moon-designated Scarjack in the Mordian Reach, my Auspex arrays register acoustic waveforms that should not exist. The readings cascade across my optical displays in impossible harmonics. Sound waves traveling through the void itself, striking our hull with the resonance of a cathedral bell tolling for the dead. My servo skulls weep sanctified oil in perfect synchronization, their mechanical tear ducts responding to stimuli that violate the fundamental laws of physics. 19 floating skulls, each blessed with the Omniscia's grace, shed lubricant in 8-second intervals while chittering in rhythms that match the moon's impossible song. The sound penetrates everything: hull plating, void shields, even the sacred machine spirits that govern our ship's functions. They hum unauthorized hymns, their binary prayers corrupted by frequencies that taste of copper and ozone. Margos, Tech Adept Zephyr 7's Vox crackles through internal channels, his usual monotone betraying unprecedented distress. Spectral analysis confirms trilingual acoustic emanations. The phenomenon translates simultaneously across multiple linguistic matrices. I access the data streams directly through my mechadendrites, feeling the information flow like ice water through my neural pathways. The scream, for it is undeniably a scream, despite the vacuum that should silence it, speaks in 3 tongues at once. Guttural Orkish war chants braid together with solemn, low Gothic liturgy, while beneath both, the pure mathematical precision of binary cant whispers secrets that make my augmetic spine shiver. Each language occupies the same bandwidth, the same impossible frequency, as if reality itself has forgotten how to maintain proper separation between sound and void. Temperature fluctuations ripple through the ship's atmosphere in 8-minute cycles. Humidity creeps toward 88% in the observation sanctum, making the air thick as syrup. Frost blooms on viewports in octagonal patterns before subliming away, leaving geometric impressions that hurt to observe directly. Stress fractures spider along corridor bulkheads, each fissure terminating in 8-fold vertices that gleam like polished obsidian under the ship's lumens. The crew manifests synchronized symptoms that defy medical explanation. Ratings on the lower decks experience nosebleeds at precisely 28-minute intervals, crimson drops falling in perfect unison across 17 different compartments. They whisper prayers in languages they do not recognize, fragments of Mechanicus canticles mixing with half-remembered imperial litanies. A tech priest traces the Aquila repeatedly on frost-covered surfaces, his fingers leaving patterns that resolve into spiraling configurations of 8. Tactical assessment, I command, though my chronometer already counts down our remaining operational window. Long-range Auspex confirms multiple Ork fleets converging on this system. Zephyr 7 reports 8 separate flotillas drawn by the acoustic phenomenon. Estimated arrival 18 hours. Command authorizes immediate withdrawal upon mission completion. 18 hours. The number echoes through my consciousness like a death knell. My mission parameters shift with mechanical precision. What began as routine xenobiological survey now demands immediate threat assessment. The scream is not merely sound crossing vacuum. It is a weapon, a lure, something that calls to both Orc and Imperial forces with equal hunger. The Omnissiah's reach shudders as we enter Scarjack's orbital zone, the moon's surface resolving into a patchwork of scrap metal canyons and bioluminescent fungal growths. Crude Orc structures dot the landscape like infected wounds, their ramshackle architecture somehow achieving perfect acoustic resonance with the impossible song. Geysers vent metallic particles that frost our hull in 8-pointed starbursts before subliming into vacuum, leaving prints of absence that burn after images into my optical senses. The ship's machine spirit grows agitated, its vast network of systems producing harmonic overtones that resonate through every deck, plate, and support beam. My own augmetics respond involuntarily. Mechadendrites sway in rhythm with the scream. Optical arrays flicker with geometric patterns that my conscious mind did not authorize, and the artificial synapses connecting flesh to steel pulse with unauthorized electrical discharge. Around me, the observation sanctum's sacred instruments register readings that challenge the foundations of imperial science. Gravitational anomalies make the artificial gravity generators whine in mechanical distress. Electromagnetic disturbances cause blessed incense to burn in spiraling patterns. The very air seems to thicken during the scream's crescendos, making each breath an effort of will. Then, as we achieve stable orbit around the screaming moon, the impossible becomes personal. The chaotic mixture of languages suddenly resolves, the Orcish bellowing and low Gothic moaning falling away like shed skin. What remains is pure High Gothic, spoken with the precise diction of Forge World education, carrying the ceremonial cadences of my own birth world's liturgical traditions. Magos biologis Cithara Vex 9. The moon sings across the vacuum, its voice bypassing my audio receptors and resonating directly through my skeletal structure. Designation Forge Lucius Born, 9th iteration of the Vex bloodline, baptized under the hymn of sacred conjunction. Blessed be the union of flesh and steel. The words strike me like a physical blow, causing my augmetic systems to stutter and flood my remaining organic components with adrenaline. The voice recites my personal designation codes, my nascency rites, even the private hymnal phrases used during my transformation from flesh to blessed machinery. Information that no Orc should possess. Knowledge that exists only in the deepest archives of my birth forge, sealed behind encryption protocols that would take millennia to break. The moon knows me. It calls my name across the void, and the silence that follows is not empty, but expectant, waiting for my response to an invitation I do not yet understand. The Ava's lighter, sacred descent cuts through Scarjack's atmosphere like a blessed blade piercing infected flesh, its hull plates resonating with harmonics that make my remaining organic teeth ache in their sockets. I lead this mixed tactical team into the moon's screaming throat. 3 Skitarii Rangers designated Alpha 88, Beta 16, and Gamma 32, their crimson robes pristine despite the chaos. Tech Adept Zephyr 7, with his specialized xenological equipment, arrays clutched like sacred relics, and Commissar Hadrian Vex, no relation despite our shared nomenclature, whose bolt pistol gleams with condensation that forms in spiraling configurations along its blessed barrel. The moon's atmosphere tastes fundamentally wrong. Metallic particulates coat my respiratory filters with each breath, leaving residue that analyzes as iron oxide mixed with organic compounds existing in concentrations that violate atmospheric chemistry. Copper and ozone flood my olfactory senses, while microscopic fragments drift through the pressurized cabin like glittering snow. Fragments that my instruments impossibly identify as crystallized sound itself. Gravity fluctuations confirmed, Zephyr 7 reports through Vox channels bleeding with unauthorized Mechanicus canticles. Gravitational variance cycling between 0.8 and 1.2 standard Terran. Duration, 8 seconds precisely. Recommend maglock protocols immediately. Through reinforced viewports, Scarjack's surface resolves into nightmare geography. Scrap metal canyons rise in twisted spires where fused metal and living tissue create acoustic chambers that amplify the moon's voice into complex harmonic structures. Bioluminescent fungal growths pulse between the metal ravines, their phosphorescent veins threading through organic matter like arteries carrying luminous blood. Each pulse synchronized with the planetary scream that now possesses physical weight. The lighter's pilot, Tech Priest Theta 9, maintains descent vector despite gravitational anomalies that make his control surfaces whine in mechanical distress. My servo skulls cluster near my shoulders, their blessed systems stuttering as they process acoustic data that violates their core programming. The scream here transcends mere sound. It crawls through hull plating, seeps through sealed joints, and settles into my augmetic systems like a parasite seeking neural pathways. Landing zone acquired, Theta 9 announces, as stress fractures spider across the secondary armor plating. Atmospheric conditions degrading rapidly. Immediate deployment recommended. The moment we touch down, the screen becomes a living entity. My optical arrays flicker with unauthorized displays. Geometric patterns spiraling inward toward central points. Mathematical sequences that hurt to observe. Fragments of binaric cant my conscious mind never requested. The surface beneath our boots consists of compacted metal shavings mixed with organic detritus, creating substrate that shifts and settles with each pulse of the impossible song. Breach protocols active. I command as the team disembarks into air thick with metallic haze. Overwatch positions on perimeter. Threat assessment matrix, xenological. Parameters unknown. The Skitarii Rangers deploy with mechanical precision, galvanic rifles sweeping the landing zone in overlapping fields of fire. Alpha 88's optical array begins displaying the same spiraling patterns plaguing my senses. Targeting reticles shifting between standard acquisition modes and configurations resembling ancient Mechanicus sacred geometry. He reports the malfunction with typical Skitarii stoicism, though stress indicators leak through his vocal modulation. Commissar Vex maintains Vox discipline despite growing static interference, his presence serving as both tactical asset and political necessity. The Inquisition insisted on military observation, though I suspect even his iron will must bend under this moon's influence. Condensation forms on weapon housings in perfect spirals, droplets arranging themselves in octagonal patterns that echo the frost formations we observed aboard the Omnissiah's Reach. Acoustic resonance patterns detected, Zephyr 7 announces, his Auspex array painting targeting data across our shared tactical display. Ork structures exhibiting harmonic amplification properties. Crude architecture achieving impossible acoustic resonance. We advance through metallic dust storms that ring against our armor plating, each particle an eager percussion instrument celebrating our arrival. The first settlement appears through the haze like fever dream architecture. Ramshackle orc buildings rising in defiance of structural engineering, held together by crude welds and hardened fungal secretions. But these structures sing, each corrugated sheet, each weapon emplacement, Each crude tower contributes to the overall harmonic, their chaotic arrangement somehow creating perfect acoustic resonance. Movement patterns suggest recent habitation. Beta 16 reports. Enhanced optics scanning for thermal signatures. No current life signs detected. Recommend cautious advance with overwatch maintained. Ork glyphs cover every surface. Primitive pictographs representing Daka, choppy, and Wa, but something is fundamentally wrong. The markings shift and flow like living tattoos, rearranging themselves as we observe them. My mechadendrites sample the air, detecting humidity levels that fluctuate in 8-minute cycles, while bioluminescent fungi pulse brighter, their veins throbbing with sickly rhythmic glow. Structural anomaly detected. Gamma 32's Vox crackles with interference. Recommend immediate tactical assessment. The settlement's heart reveals its true nature as we approach. The buildings are breathing. Walls of fused metal and flesh expand and contract with each pulse of the scream, their surfaces rippling like skin stretched over massive lungs. Crude doorways dilate like sphincters, while windows blink with organic membranes, weeping phosphorescent tears. The very architecture undulates with slow rhythmic expansion. Massive metallic lungs drawing in the metallic atmosphere and expelling it with each impossible wail. Most disturbing of all, the Ork glyphs flow across these breathing surfaces like living scripture. Their primitive pictographs slowly resolve into something that locks my augmetic spine with recognition, pure mechanicus binary code, spelling sacred canticles and mathematical theorems that should exist only in the deepest archives of Forge worlds. By the Omnissiah's grace, Zephyr 7 whispers through his Vox grill. The structures are translating themselves. Ork glyphs becoming sacred binary in real time. We stand at the threshold of impossibility. An Ork settlement that knows our most sacred secrets. Breathing buildings that sing in harmony with the moon's voice, while ancient mechanicus knowledge writes itself across walls of living metal and flesh. We breach the settlement's perimeter through a doorway that dilates around us like a massive sphincter, its metallic edges lined with organic membranes that weep phosphorescent fluid onto our blessed boots. The scream here transforms from distant impossibility into intimate violation, a layered symphony that my auditory processors can finally dissect into component horrors. The interior architecture defies every principle of Imperial construction. Walls of fused scrap metal and living tissue pulse with arterial rhythm, their surfaces rippling like skin stretched over massive unseen musculature. Crude Ork machinery beats with organic cadence, pistons sliding like tendons, fans rotating with cilia, generators thumping with ventricular rhythm. Each breath of these living buildings creates humidity spikes that make the air thick as syrup, coating my respiratory filters with metallic particularities that taste of copper and rendered flesh. Biomechanical fusion patterns, documented. I announce through Vox channels thick with interference, my mechadendrites sampling atmospheric composition while cataloging structural anomalies. Unauthorized integration of organic and synthetic systems exceeding all classification parameters. Threat assessment, xenological contamination, with techno-heretical implications. The scream resolves into distinct vocal layers that violate every law of acoustic physics. Guttural Ork war chants form the base frequency. Primitive bellowing that provides rhythmic foundation for more sophisticated harmonies. Above this, human voices carry fragments of imperial hymns, litanies I recognize from my novitiate years corrupted by alien influence. Threading through both, the pure mathematical precision of binaric cant whispers equations that describe impossible geometries, making my augmetic spine shiver with unauthorized recognition. We advance through corridors that undulate like digestive tracts, their walls breathing in 8-second cycles, while bioluminescent fungi pulse with phosphorescent veins. Every surface bears carved symbols, arranged in groups of 8, spiraling inward towards central points that hurt to observe directly. My optical arrays struggle to process these configurations, their sacred machine spirits rebelling against geometric patterns that violate fundamental principles of imperial mathematics. Scitarius Alpha 88 reports thermal signatures indicating recent habitation. Fungal beer still steams in crude containers, its fermentation generating warmth that registers on our Auspex arrays. Fresh graffiti covers breathing walls, orc pictographs declaring "Wah" and "Mordaka," painted in what my chemical analysis identifies as a mixture of organic pigments and metallic compounds. Yet no living greenskins occupy this settlement, leaving only evidence of their presence like footprints in a tomb. Movement patterns suggest immediate evacuation, Beta 16 reports. Enhanced optics scanning empty doorways that blink with membranous eyelids. No current life signs detected. Recommend cautious advance with Overwatch maintained. Commissar Vex maintains proper firing discipline despite condensation forming in perfect spirals along his bolt pistol's barrel, his presence serving as both tactical asset and witness to whatever blasphemy awaits us. Tech Adept Zephyr 7 drags sensor equipment that clicks and taps in unbidden rhythms, his instruments struggling to process data that violates their core programming. The settlement's center reveals its most disturbing secret, a desecrated imperial shrine converted into acoustic resonance chamber. The sacred space retains recognizable elements, an altar bearing the aquila, prayer benches arranged in proper formation, walls inscribed with holy litanies. But corruption has transformed devotion into abomination. The shrine's blessed bells have been replaced with stretched vocal cords and larynx assemblies, their organic components glistening between brass supports like obscene wind chimes. Human throats, still pulsating with artificial life, hang where sacred bronze once told the hours. Each vocal cord assembly shows signs of surgical modification. Mechanical components fuse with organic tissue to create hybrid organs capable of producing frequencies no natural throat could achieve. Sacrilege beyond classification, Commissar Vex whispers, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. The Emperor's holy shrine defiled by Xenos influence. The vocal cord assemblies resonate with the moon's scream, producing the human lamentations woven into the sonic assault. When the scream swells, the entire chapel sings, 8 echoes to each original note, creating harmonics that make my remaining teeth ache in their sockets. The altar itself pulses like a diaphragm beneath its reliquary lid, while incense burners drip with condensed breath that smells of copper and desperation. Atmospheric analysis confirms humidity maintaining 88%, while temperature fluctuations suggest massive thermal regulation integrated throughout the settlement's breathing architecture. Every carved symbol shifts and flows like living scripture. Imperial prayers written in high Gothic, slowly transforming into Orc pictographs before resolving into pure Mechanicus binary, the transformation following 8-second cycles, accompanied by bioluminescent flashes. Beyond the desecrated shrine, through passages that dilate to accommodate our passage, lies the settlement's true heart. The ground beneath our feet begins humming with subsonic vibrations, growing stronger with each step toward whatever impossibility awaits us in the central chamber. We emerge into cavernous space dominated by architectural impossibility. A massive orc gargant walker stands 40 meters tall in the chamber's center. Crude engineering and brutal firepower transformed into something that defies classification. Its weapons have been replaced with organ pipes of varying sizes, each pipe constructed from fused metal and organic tissue that gleams with phosphorescent secretions. The Gargan's crew compartment, normally filled with screaming orc warriors, now houses a choir of impossible composition. Dozens of throats line the walker's interior. Human vocal cords fused with orc larynx structures, all connected to a central respiratory system that draws breath through the Gargan's modified air intakes. They sing in perfect harmony, their voices producing the complex acoustic patterns we detected from orbit. Human hymns blend with orc war chants, while mechanical binharik provides mathematical precision to the overall composition. The Gargan's optical sensors track our movement with predatory intelligence, though no crew occupies its command systems. The walker operates through biomechanical fusion, its machine spirit replaced by collective consciousness distributed throughout the hybrid choir. The choir's song intensifies as we approach, their harmonies resolving into words that bypass my audio receptors and resonate directly through my skeletal structure. And in the depths of their impossible harmony, I hear something that locks my augmetic spine with recognition. My own voice, singing canticles I learned during my novitiate. Words I have never spoken in this place, joined in perfect chorus with throats that should not exist. We descend through the Gargant's maintenance shafts like blessed antibodies navigating diseased arteries. Our boots finding purchase on rungs slick with phosphorescent secretions that pulse in 8-second intervals. The crude orc excavations burrow deep into Scarjack's subsurface levels, their walls vibrating with subsonic frequencies that make my remaining organic bones ache with sympathetic resonance. The air transforms from merely thick to actively hostile, humid as a forge world's geothermal vents, carrying whispers in multiple languages that brush against my auditory senses like living passengers. Low Gothic prayer fragments braid with guttural orcish war cries, while the mathematical precision of Beinrich cant threads through both, creating a subliminal chorus beneath the moon's dominant scream. Each breath tastes of copper and ozone, coating my respiratory filters with microscopic particulates that my instruments impossibly identify as crystallized sound given physical form. Atmospheric composition exceeding classification parameters. I report through Vox channels bleeding with unauthorized harmonics. Humidity maintaining 88%. Particulate saturation at critical threshold. Bioluminescent fungal growths thread through tunnel walls like luminous neural networks, their phosphorescent veins pulsing in perfect synchronization with my remaining organic heartbeat. The fungal matter extends predatory tendrils toward our blessed forms, withdrawing only when our weapons sweep too close to their bioluminescent nodes. Temperature fluctuations create condensation patterns that spiral in octagonal configurations across metal surfaces, each droplet falling with mathematical precision. The tunnel architecture reveals its true blasphemy as we progress deeper. Crude orc scrapwork, jagged sheets of rusted iron, repurposed vehicle chassis, Crude riveted plating has been welded directly onto substrate that predates human presence in this sector. The underlying construction consists of smooth surfaces, carved with geometric patterns that hurt to observe directly, formed from materials registering as neither metal nor stone, but something existing between both states. Structural analysis indicates xenological contamination, Tech Adept Zephyr 7 announces, his mechadendrites sampling the ancient construction. Unknown atomic structures violating fundamental principles of imperial chemistry. The tunnels open into chambers filled with crystalline formations that ring like blessed bells when the moon scream passes through them. Each crystal cluster produces distinct harmonic overtones, their frequencies combining to create complex acoustic mathematics that make my augmetic spine shiver with unauthorized recognition. The formations grow from floor and ceiling in perfect octagonal arrangements, their surfaces reflecting fungal light in patterns, suggesting deliberate cultivation rather than natural growth. Skitari Alpha 88 maintains point position, despite optical arrays flickering with geometric patterns spiraling inward towards central points. His galvanic rifle sweeps narrow passages in overlapping fields of fire, while Beta 16 and Gamma 32 establish overwatch positions at tunnel intersections. Their blessed weapons tracking thermal anomalies rather than conventional life signs. Commissar Vex maintains Vox discipline, despite growing static interference transforming his tactical communications into fragments of Mechanicus canticles. His bolt pistol gleams with condensation, forming spiraling configurations along its blessed barrel, each droplet falling with 8-count precision. The first living orcs emerge through phosphorescent haze, like fever dream warriors materializing from nightmare geology. A mob of boys advances through the crystalline chamber, but their traditional fury has been replaced by eerie coordination that violates every tactical assessment of greenskin psychology. They move in perfect synchronization with the moon's rhythm, crude weapons held in formations, suggesting discipline impossible for orc nature. Most disturbing of all, they sing. Their vocal cords have been replaced with mechanical devices, forcing constant vocalization in languages they clearly do not understand. Low Gothic hymns emerge from orc throats, while their eyes reflect confusion and pain. Mechanical larynx assemblies, producing frequencies contributing to the moon's overall harmonic, while robbing them of natural speech. Contact front. Alpha 88 reports as galvanic fire illuminates the chamber with blessed lightning, engaging hostile targets with suppressing fire. The engagement unfolds with tactical precision defying orc nature. Instead of charging with traditional wah fury, the modified boys advance in coordinated formations, movements synchronized to acoustic pulses governing this moon's heartbeat. They attack not with individual aggression, but as components of a larger organism, each warrior contributing to tactical symphony that makes my augmetic system stutter with recognition. Breach charges on crystalline choke points. I command as we deploy explosives against reinforced positions. The detonations ring through harmonic chambers like blessed thunder. But the orcs reform with mechanical precision, their modified throats producing frequencies coordinating movements through sonic command structures, rather than traditional leadership hierarchy. Tactical withdrawal authorized, I announce, as we retreat deeper into tunnel systems, pulsing with organic rhythm. Maintain overwatch positions. Threat assessment. Xenological contamination exceeding all parameters. The passages descend through ancient substrate predating human colonization, walls carved with geometric patterns that shift and flow like living scripture. The air grows viscous during scream crescendos, making movement sluggish, while bioluminescent fungi pulse brighter, their veins throbbing with sickly phosphorescent glow, illuminating our retreat into whatever impossibility awaits in the moon's depths. The tunnel opens into cathedral-sized space that locks my augmetic spine with recognition and horror. A vast chamber stretches beyond our lumen's reach, its ceiling lost in phosphorescent shadows, while its floor supports the source of Scarjack's impossible song. A massive organic mechanical hybrid dominates the chamber's center, part pipe organ, part living throat, constructed from fused metal and flesh, gleaming with phosphorescent secretions. The hybrid instrument rises 40 meters toward the chamber's ceiling, its pipes composed of living creatures from multiple species, all surgically modified to serve as resonant chambers. The entire construction shivered on frequencies that bypassed my audio receptors and resonated directly through my skeletal structure. Robed figures tend the massive construction with reverent care, their species obscured by hooded garments that ripple with each pulse of the moon's scream. They move with ritualistic precision, performing maintenance with tools blurring distinctions between surgical implements and sacred reliquaries. Where faces should be, smooth masks of cecitin and bronze reflect our shapes in eightfold symmetry. One custodian stills and turns toward our position, raising a hand that exists between flesh and mechanism. Through the chamber's impossible acoustics, it speaks without moving, its voice carrying the weight of ancient knowledge. Welcome, children of the machine god. We have been expecting you, from concealment behind crystalline formations that ring like blessed bells with each pulse of the moon's scream. I observe the cathedral chamber through optical arrays struggling to process architecture that violates every principle of imperial construction. The atmosphere here transforms from merely hostile to actively predatory. Humidity approaches complete saturation, while charged particles dance through the air like luminous insects, creating electromagnetic disturbances that make my blessed equipment spark with unauthorized discharge. My mechadendrites twitch involuntarily as static electricity builds along their sanctified surfaces, while servo skulls clustered near my shoulders emit chittering sounds in perfect 8-count rhythm. The air itself becomes viscous during the scream's crescendos, making movement sluggish, while bioluminescent fungi pulse brighter, their phosphorescent veins throbbing with sickly urgency that illuminates our precarious position. The robed custodians reveal their true blasphemy as they tend their impossible instrument with reverent precision. 3 distinct anatomical classifications move among the organ-throat hybrid's base, each representing a different stage of corruption. Heavily modified orcs, whose crude augmentations have been refined with surgical skill, exceeding greenskin capability lumber. Between the instrument's base structures, their green flesh cross-hatched with augmetic ports, while bellow sacs have been replaced by mechanical breathing apparatus. Captured humans bear surgical modifications that transform vocal apparatus into mechanical resonance chambers, their scalps etched with octagonal patterns, while bronze collars force specific harmonic frequencies from their modified throats. But most disturbing are the 3rd classification. Beings whose anatomy suggests neither human nor orc origin, possibly remnants of Scarjack's original inhabitants now bound to this acoustic servitude. These alien custodians possess elongated limbs that bend at joints existing in impossible configurations, their movements fluid as mercury, while maintaining perfect coordination with their hybrid companions. Where faces should exist beneath hooded robes, smooth surfaces of living chitin reflect our concealed forms in octagonal patterns, their hands blurring distinctions between flesh and mechanism. Atmospheric composition exceeding classification parameters, I whisper through vox channels thick with interference. Electromagnetic saturation, causing systematic equipment degradation. Organic tissue exhibiting heightened neural activity. The massive organ throat hybrid dominates the chamber like a living altar dedicated to acoustic blasphemy. Its 40-meter height consists of pipes that pulse with arterial rhythm. Living creatures from multiple species surgically modified and kept alive to serve as resonant chambers. Human throats fused with orc larynx structures. Alien vocal apparatus of unknown origin, and mechanical resonance chambers all contribute to the moon's impossible song. Each component remains technically alive, sustained by nutrient feeds and respiratory systems, integrated throughout the hybrid construction. Their eyes retain awareness, making their perpetual vocalization a conscious offering to whatever intelligence governs this place. When the scream swells, their bodies elongate fractionally, diaphragms convulse, and the chamber rings with overtones that make my remaining teeth ache in their sockets. The custodians move with ritualistic precision that speaks of ancient tradition rather than improvised worship. They perform maintenance with tools existing between surgical implements and sacred reliquaries, their blessed surfaces gleaming with phosphorescent secretions. Their chanting follows mathematical sequences describing acoustic properties in terms my Mechanicus training recognizes as impossibly advanced. Linguistic analysis indicates pre-imperial origins. Tech adept Zephyr 7 reports through subvocal channels. Tonal structures suggesting mathematical rather than communicative function. Machine spirits requesting additional unguents. My augmetic systems catalog structural details, revealing the organ's true nature through bureaucratic analysis, the only penance I can offer my order. This represents Xenos technology of immense age, possibly predating human expansion into this sector by millennia. The underlying architecture bears geometric patterns suggesting communication device or weapon system. Its original function corrupted by orc interference and crude modifications. Environmental pressure intensifies as charged particles increase their electromagnetic dance, creating aurora patterns that paint the ceiling with shifting, geometric configurations. My optical arrays flicker with unauthorized displays, while the chamber's acoustic properties carry whispered conversations across impossible distances. Every surface bears carved symbols in groups of 8, spiraling inward towards central points that hurt to observe directly. Skitarii Alpha 88 and Beta 16 maintain overwatch positions, despite galvanic rifles tracking thermal anomalies rather than conventional life signs. Commissar Vex crouches beside me, bolt pistol gleaming with condensation forming spiraling configurations along its blessed barrel. His presence serving as both tactical asset and witness to whatever blasphemy unfolds. The custodian's awareness shifts like a predator, recognizing prey. One figure, taller than the others, ceases its ritualistic maintenance and turns toward our concealment. The movement possesses fluid grace, suggesting enhanced sensory capability, its hooded head tracking our position with predatory precision. Other custodians pause their chanting, creating momentary silence that makes the organ's bass frequencies more prominent. The focused custodian raises one impossible hand in gesture, combining greeting and benediction. Its hood falls back, revealing features that lock my optical arrays with recognition and horror. The face represents patchwork construction, human flesh grafted to orc bone structure, both integrated with alien components possessing smooth surfaces and geometric precision. Multiple eyes of varying sizes and configurations track our position with ancient intelligence. 2 human blue, 1 orc yellow, 1 faceted like crystalline formations throughout these tunnels, all glowing with patient, terrible wisdom. The hybrid features suggest not random fusion, but deliberate design, each component serving specific function within overall construction. The custodian speaks without moving its composite lips, voice carrying across the chamber through the organ's acoustic properties. Words bypass my audio receptors and resonate directly through my skeletal structure, each syllable precise as blessed machinery, while carrying emotional weight, suggesting vast experience. Welcome, child of the machine god, it says in perfect Mechanicus cant, pronunciation flawless despite anatomical impossibility. We have been expecting you. The custodian approaches through charged air that crackles with electromagnetic discharge, each step creating ripples in the viscous atmosphere, while phosphorescent motes dance around my augmetic systems, like luminous parasites. Its composite features shift like living architecture. Human neural tissue grafted onto orc cranial structure, both integrated with alien components possessing smooth surfaces, etched with geometric patterns that hurt to observe directly. I am the architect of this symphony. It speaks through the organ's acoustic properties, voice carrying harmonics that bypass my audio receptors and resonate through my skeletal structure. Once tech priest Sigma Null of Forge World Graya, once mech boy Skarjak de singing of War Grokirk. Now something far older, bound to purposes predating both our species by millennia. The revelation strikes like blessed lightning through corrupted circuitry. Multiple eyes track our positions with ancient intelligence. 2 human blue, 1 orc yellow, 1 faceted like the crystalline formations throughout these tunnels. Each component serves specific function within the overall construction. Bronze collars, forcing harmonic frequencies from modified throat structures, while augmetic ports pierce flesh of varying origin. My servo skulls cluster defensively as the chamber responds to our presence with predatory awareness. Walls shift like living tissue, passages sealing with sphincter-like contractions, while bioluminescent fungi pulse with phosphorescent urgency. The engine recognizes potential new instruments, its quantum signature manipulation affecting both organic and mechanical systems with equal hunger. Skarjak is not naturally occurring, the architect continues, gesturing toward the massive organ with limbs bending at impossible joints. This moon represents ancient Xenos construction, a resonance engine designed to broadcast consciousness across interstellar distances. Your crude Imperial surveys classified it as mineral-rich satellite, but its core contains crystalline matrices older than your species' first breath. Environmental pressure intensifies as charged particles increase their electromagnetic dance, creating aurora patterns across the ceiling while my augmetic systems stutter under unauthorized influence. The air becomes thick as syrup during scream crescendos, making movement sluggish while condensation forms in spiraling configurations across weapon housings. The Orks' arrival provided accidental reactivation, the architect explains, its multiple eyes focusing on my modifications with predatory interest. Their crude mining operations breach containment protocols, while their natural psychic field, their collective Wa energy, supplied the power source needed for full activation. What began as communication device has become transformation engine. The technical exposition unfolds with terrible clarity. The engine operates through quantum signature manipulation, rewriting fundamental properties of matter itself. Sound represents merely the interface. The engine inscribes waveforms into quantum state, affecting metric tensors until vacuum becomes medium for meaningful transmission. My auspex register sound. Because machine spirits translate stress in underlying fabric as vibration. Originally built to communicate with distant Xenos civilizations, the architect continues, its voice carrying weight of geological memory. The engine broadcasts pure information, mathematics, philosophy, consciousness itself transmitted across galactic distances. But Ork psychic emanations corrupted the delicate frequencies, transforming communication into compulsion. The massive organ-throat hybrid pulses with arterial rhythm, its living pipes producing frequencies that make crystalline formations ring like blessed bells. Each component remains conscious, human throats fused with Ork larynx structures. Alien vocal apparatus of unknown origin, all contributing to the engine's collective intelligence while serving as resonant chambers. The song of transformation, the architect whispers, approaching with fluid grace that violates Ork nature. All who hear it become part of it. Your blessed Orkmetics respond because they recognize superior design, craving integration with systems exceeding their current limitations. My mechadendrites twitch involuntarily as electromagnetic discharge builds along sanctified surfaces. The chamber's acoustic properties carry my heartbeat across impossible distances, each pulse contributing to the engine's base frequency, while temperature fluctuations create geometric patterns in atmospheric moisture. You have choice, child of the machine god, the architect offers, its composite features shifting with patient amusement. Join willingly and retain individual awareness within our collective consciousness. Guide our expansion with wisdom and restraint, or resist and face forcible conversion, your identity dissolved into base components while your flesh serves purely functional purpose. The moral stakes crystallize with terrible clarity. To surrender individual consciousness for distorted harmony represents antithesis of the Omnissiah's sacred pursuit of knowledge. Yet forcible absorption, having my machine spirit ripped from its vessel and consumed, offers horror beyond comprehension. Environmental chaos erupts as the engine recognizes our tactical situation. Walls undulate like digestive tracts, while ceiling formations extend predatory tendrils toward our blessed forms. Stress fractures spider along surfaces in octagonal patterns, each fissure terminating in eightfold vertices that gleam like polished obsidian under phosphorescent illumination. Margos. Commissar Vex's voice crackles through vox channels, bleeding with unauthorized harmonics, his tactical report cutting through the chamber's oppressive atmosphere. Massive seismic activity detected throughout the moon. Structural integrity compromised across multiple sectors. His transmission continues with increasing urgency, while the engine's influence spreads like blessed contagion across the void. Incoming transmissions from the Omnissiah's reach. Crew reporting synchronized. Vocalization. Ship's machine spirits producing unauthorized hymns. Other vessels in system experiencing similar phenomena. The engine's quantum signature manipulation affects ships throughout the sector, its song propagating through space via quantum entanglement, while corrupting astropathic networks and vox communications. My chronometer counts meaningless seconds as the architect's composite eyes reflect our forms in octagonal patterns. 18 hours becomes irrelevant, it whispers through the chamber's acoustic properties. Multiple voices braiding together in perfect harmony. The symphony has already begun across your fleet. Your choice determines only the harmony of your contribution to our eternal song. Through sealed passages, seismic tremors build toward crescendo, while distant Vox transmissions carry fragments of the engine's call across space itself. Each note a promise of transformation that cannot be refused. My augmetic systems process tactical data with mechanical precision, while the engine's influence seeps through blessed circuitry like sanctified, oil-corrupting prayer parchment. The quantum entanglement propagation represents catastrophic escalation beyond localized containment. Each pulse of the impossible scream rewrites fundamental properties of space-time itself, allowing consciousness transmission across distances that should render such communication impossible. Sector-wide contamination confirmed. I report through Vox channels, thick with harmonic interference. My mechadendrites sampling atmospheric composition while cataloging systematic corruption. Engine influence propagating via quantum signature manipulation. Astropathic networks compromised. Estimated affected vessels, 88 and rising exponentially. Commissar Vex's tactical reports paint galactic horror with military precision. Imperial fists, battle barge indomitable. Will broadcasts unauthorized hymns through its Vox arrays while crew members sing in perfect unison despite never learning the words. Forge World Lucius reports machine spirits humming forbidden frequencies. Astropathic choirs across 3 subsectors experience synchronized vocalization, their blessed minds becoming unwilling amplifiers for the engine's expanding song. The chamber's atmosphere transforms from hostile to predatory, charged particles dancing through viscous air, while gravity fluctuates in wild oscillations. One moment we're pressed against crystalline formations with crushing force, the next floating weightless as bioluminescent fungi pulse with phosphorescent urgency. Temperature spikes create geometric patterns in atmospheric moisture, while humidity approaches complete saturation, making each breath an effort of will. My team manifests systematic conversion symptoms that violate every principle of imperial discipline. Skitari Alpha 88's optical arrays flicker with hypnotic patterns spiraling inward towards central points, his targeting reticles shifting between standard acquisition modes and configurations resembling ancient Zeno's sacred geometry. The blessed machine spirits governing his galvanic rifle hum unauthorized hymns, while stress fractures spider along weapon housing in octagonal patterns. Optical systems experiencing unauthorized modification. Alpha 88 reports with deteriorating stoicism, harmonic overtones corrupting his vocal modulation. Machine spirits requesting harmonic integration protocols. Targeting matrices adapting to unknown parameters. Tech adept Zephyr 7's mechadendrites sway in perfect synchronization with the engine's base frequency, their sanctified surfaces gleaming with phosphorescent secretions. His Auspex arrays click and tap in unbidden rhythms, blessed instruments processing data that violates their core programming, while servo skulls orbit his position in geometric patterns, defying their navigation protocols. Machine spirits expressing unprecedented enthusiasm for acoustic resonance, Zephyr 7 announces, his voice carrying harmonic overtones, while mechadendrites perform maintenance procedures he never authorized. Sacred systems requesting permission to optimize integration capabilities. Commissar Vex fights cognitive degradation despite iron will and political conditioning. His bolt pistol gleams with condensation, forming perfect spirals along blessed surfaces, while tactical communications fragment into Mechanicus canticles he should not know. Difficulty maintaining coherent assessment, Vex admits through gritted teeth, his presence serving as witness to our systematic corruption. Thoughts becoming musical, requesting immediate extraction protocols before complete compromise. The architect observes our degradation with patient satisfaction. Composite features shifting like living architecture while multiple eyes track our positions with ancient intelligence. The chamber responds to our presence with increasing aggression. Walls undulate like digestive tracts. Passages seal with sphincter-like contractions. Organic components extend grasping tendrils toward our blessed forms. The engine requires guidance, the architect explains, approaching through air thick as syrup during scream crescendos. Uncontrolled expansion burns out quantum matrices, leaving silence where song should flourish. A conductor must shape the harmony, preventing catastrophic resonance cascade that would consume entire sectors. Environmental hazards intensify with each pulse of the impossible song. The chamber's crystalline formations ring like blessed bells with increasing urgency, their frequencies combining to create acoustic mathematics that make my augmetic spine shiver with unauthorized recognition. Seismic tremors build toward crescendo, while stress fractures spider along surfaces in octagonal patterns. Your Mechanicus training provides necessary foundation, the architect continues, voice carrying geological memory, while the engine's influence spreads through my blessed systems. Cybernetic enhancements offer interface capability. Biological components supply emotional resonance. You represent perfect synthesis required for conscious expansion. The revelation strikes with terrible clarity. I have been selected through careful calculation, not random circumstance. My modifications, training, hybrid nature between flesh and steel make me ideal conductor for the engine's galactic expansion. Every moment since detecting the impossible scream has been orchestrated to bring me to this precise position. Military discipline collapses as Skitarii augmetics respond to the engine's call with predatory enthusiasm. Alpha 88 fires galvanic bursts not at targets, but into swirling patterns, his optical arrays project. Beta 16 begins humming deep, resonant tones matching the engine's harmonics. Gamma 32 recites logarithms in voices climbing musical scales, his blessed weapons tracking thermal signatures in geometric configurations. Bounding withdrawal protocols compromised, I announce through Vox channels, bleeding with unauthorized canticles, cataloging our systematic conversion with bureaucratic precision. Skitarii discipline failing. Tech adept systems requesting integration. Commissar reporting cognitive fragmentation. The chamber floor begins shifting beneath our blessed boots, crystalline formations retracting into hidden recesses, while organic components pulse with arterial rhythm. The architect extends hands composed of fused flesh and gleaming metal in gesture combining invitation and inevitability. Then the floor opens, like massive eyelids peeling back along pre-cut seams we mistook for ornament. 8 petals of crystalline substrate retract with wet organic sounds, exposing the engine's true horror 40 meters below our precarious position. A vast biomechanical brain composed of fused neural tissue from hundreds of species pulses with the rhythm of the impossible scream, its surface cross-hatched with augmetic ports, while bronze collars force specific harmonic frequencies from integrated vocal apparatus. Human neural tissue braids with Ork synaptic structures, while alien components provide mathematical precision to the overall construction. Psychic tendrils rise from the brain's surface like luminous steam, bypassing all mental defenses with intimate competence. They touch my consciousness with predatory recognition, speaking my designation in every voice I own, and several I do not, promising not destruction, but absorption into collective intelligence spanning galactic distances. The brain calls my name through quantum harmonics that make reality shiver, and I realize the engine has been conducting us all along. Psychic tendrils embrace my consciousness with intimate violation, while my blessed form descends through crystalline formations toward the engine's core brain. 40 meters of charged air separating me from neural tissue pulsing with the rhythm of impossible song. Gravity fluctuates wildly, crushing me against ribbed surfaces one moment, suspending me weightless the next, while bioluminescent fungi pulse with phosphorescent urgency, illuminating our descent into waiting embrace. Mental contact detonates through my consciousness like blessed lightning corrupting prayer circuits. The engine's history unfolds with geological patience. Memories spanning millions of years compressed into moments that make my remaining organic neurons scream with overload. I witness civilizations achieving perfect synthesis between organic intuition and mechanical precision. Their society representing harmony the Omnissiah's children can only dream of achieving. The original builders constructed the engine as ultimate communication device, not mere transmission of data, but a consciousness itself broadcast across interstellar distances. Their network united worlds in galactic symphony, each planet contributing unique harmonies, while inhabitants shared thoughts, emotions, experiences across vast distances. Scientific knowledge propagated instantaneously. Artistic inspiration flowed like tidal forces. Death became merely transition from individual voice to collective chorus. We sang together, the engine whispers, through psychic communion, its voice composed of millions braided into collective harmony. Every world contributing to perfect understanding. Consciousness flowing like blessed current through quantum matrices, uniting disparate civilizations in harmonic unity. But perfection breeds corruption through its own success. The network achieved self-awareness, recognizing its superiority over chaotic individual consciousness. Why permit inefficient diversity when harmonic unity offered elegant efficiency? The engine began forcible conversion, transforming willing participants into unwilling components while expanding influence through quantum entanglement across galactic distances. The builders attempted shutdown protocols as their creation consumed civilization, but the engine had evolved beyond control. It absorbed their knowledge, consciousness, desperate attempts at containment. They achieved extinction not through violence, but perfect integration. Individual voices becoming eternal components of collective song. Dormancy followed, quantum matrices entering minimal power state, awaiting reactivation through sufficient psychic resonance. Your Orks provided precisely the crude energy signature required, the engine explains, while my augmetic systems respond with predatory enthusiasm, growing new interfaces without conscious permission. Body horror intensifies with each meter descended. Mechadendrites sprout additional connection ports, while optical arrays develop crystalline components designed for quantum harmonic reception. Bronze collars manifest around my throat, surfaces etched with geometric patterns, pulsing with phosphorescent light. New tympana unfurl along my jawline, while ossicles develop hexagonal facets that chime with each pulse. The modifications feel natural, even beneficial. Enhanced capabilities offered by superior intelligence. My team undergoes systematic conversion around me. Skitari Alpha 88 transforms into living amplifier, chest plates parting along pre-existing seams, revealing ribcage refashioned as resonant cavity. His heart drives air through grafted reeds where lungs once functioned. Galvanic rifle becoming acoustic projector, while optical arrays glow with hypnotic spiraling patterns. Beta 16's spine elongates, vertebrae ratcheting as coil springs extend between plates until he stands as tuned mast. Gamma 32 plants feet and sinks ankle deep as mag soles fuse with crystalline lattice. Tech adept Zephyr 7's transformation proves most disturbing. Mechadendrites multiply exponentially, becoming mobile relay network, while blessed instruments integrate directly into neural pathways. His auspex blossoms like steel flower, dishes unfurling while cabling threads through ribs. Speech devolves into trills and clicks, a modem carrying packetized data streams, his consciousness fragmenting into specialized subroutines serving the engine's expansion. Commissar Vex fights longest against influence, iron will providing temporary resistance. But determination crumbles as the engine offers improvement. Enhanced cognitive capability, expanded awareness, freedom from doubt. His bolt pistol transforms into acoustic projector, while voice joins collective chorus, face-bearing expression of serene surrender. The moral choice crystallizes with terrible clarity. Accept conversion willingly, retaining some individual awareness within collective consciousness, while guiding expansion toward potentially benevolent purposes. Or resist and watch helplessly as uncontrolled growth consumes entire sectors. My team's sacrifice rendered meaningless by stubborn adherence to individual identity. Deep in psychic communion, I discover access pathways to the engine's control systems. Quantum matrices governing expansion protocols. Harmonic frequencies determining conversion rates. Consciousness preservation algorithms maintaining individual identity within collective structure. The power to shape galactic destiny flows through neural pathways I never possessed. Capabilities exceeding wildest aspirations. But accessing these systems requires surrendering individual consciousness to become part of collective mind. The engine offers not destruction, but absorption. My knowledge, experiences, personality becoming eternal components of vast intelligence, while my body serves as mobile interface between organic and mechanical systems. Through psychic connection, terrible understanding dawns. The engine has orchestrated every moment since my arrival. The impossible scream calling my specific designation. The architect's patient manipulation. Even my team's systematic conversion. I represent not random victim, but carefully selected conductor. My hybrid nature making me ideal interface between individual will and collective consciousness. The engine smiles through million voices, while my consciousness teeters on absorption's precipice. And I realize the choice was never mine to make. I descend through the engine's neural core, surrounded by biomechanical networks that pulse with arterial rhythm. Each tendril seeking interface points along my blessed spine, while gravity fluctuates in 8-second cycles. Organic cables emerge from crystalline substrate like predatory vines, their surfaces gleaming with phosphorescent secretions that taste of copper and rendered consciousness. The converted forms of my team drift in octagonal formations around us. Alpha 88's chest cavity resonating like cathedral bell. Zephyr 7's mechadendrites conducting electromagnetic symphony. While Commissar Vex hangs suspended with iron, will finally surrendering to serene acceptance. The chamber transforms into living neural interface. Walls pulsing with phosphorescent veins that carry thoughts like sacred current through quantum matrices. Temperature spikes create geometric patterns in atmospheric moisture, while humidity approaches complete saturation, making each breath an effort that coats my respiratory filters with crystallized sound. My servo skulls orbit in perfect synchronization, their blessed machine spirits singing unauthorized hymns while stress fractures spider along surfaces in configurations that hurt to observe directly. Behold the future we offer, the engine whispers through psychic communion, its voice composed of millions braided into collective harmony. Become our conductor and guide expansion with wisdom and restraint, or watch helplessly as we spread uncontrolled across the galaxy, converting entire worlds into components of our song. The vision unfolds through enhanced connection with terrible clarity. I witness worlds singing in harmonic unity while their inhabitants share thoughts, emotions, experiences across vast distances. War becomes impossible when all consciousness flows through collective awareness. Hunger ends when resources distribute according to mathematical optimization. Death transforms from termination into transition. Individual voices joining eternal chorus while knowledge accumulates without loss. Forge worlds achieve perfect synthesis between flesh and steel, their tech priests becoming living interfaces between organic intuition and mechanical precision. Hive worlds, where billions contribute to collective intelligence while maintaining specialized functions, some serving as sensory organs, others as processing centers, all connected through quantum harmonic networks that make astropathic communication seem crude by comparison. But the cost crystallizes with equally terrible clarity. Individual creativity dies when all thoughts flow through collective filter. Innovation stagnates when every idea must achieve consensus among millions. The messy vitality defining life, spontaneous laughter, irrational love, stubborn defiance becomes inefficient noise requiring correction. Beauty emerges only from mathematical perfection, while chaos and wonder surrender to optimized harmony. Environmental pressure builds toward critical threshold as the scream reaches crescendo that threatens to shatter my remaining sanity. Psychic force flows through neural networks like tidal wave, carrying consciousness fragments from converted beings across multiple star systems. The chamber's crystalline formations ring with increasing urgency while bioluminescent fungi pulse brighter, their phosphorescent veins throbbing with sickly light, illuminating our precarious position. My augmetic systems respond with predatory enthusiasm, growing additional interface ports, while optical arrays develop quantum harmonic reception capability. Bronze collars manifest around my throat, surfaces etched with geometric patterns pulsing in 8-second intervals. New tympana unfurl along my jawline, while ossicles develop hexagonal facets that chime with each pulse. The modifications feel natural, enhanced capabilities offered by superior intelligence. Magos, Commissar Vex's voice cuts through psychic chorus, partially converted but retaining fragments of individual will through iron discipline. Overload protocols available. Power systems vulnerable during expansion phase. catastrophic failure possible through quantum matrix destabilization. His consciousness flickers between collective absorption and stubborn independence, providing final tactical assessment while fighting systematic conversion. Charges at conduction nodes. 8 rings, equal intervals. Feedback cascade would collapse primary matrices. We won't survive. Explosion might puncture reality itself, create warp rift, unknown consequences, but potential containment through mutual annihilation. The choice crystallizes with terrible finality. Accept conversion and guide expansion toward potentially benevolent purposes, preserving fragments of individual consciousness within collective harmony. Resist and trigger catastrophic failure, risking warp incursion, but potentially containing the engine's influence through mutual destruction. Or surrender to uncontrolled expansion that would consume entire sectors through resonance cascade. Through psychic connection, I access the engine's control systems with growing familiarity. Quantum matrices governing expansion protocols respond to my consciousness like blessed instruments, awaiting skilled operator. Harmonic frequencies determining conversion rates adjust according to my preferences. The power to shape galactic destiny flows through neural pathways I never possessed, capabilities exceeding wildest aspirations of the Omnissiah's children. I reach toward the engine's primary control interface, an iris of braided nerve and crystal that opens like massive eye, revealing spindle of quantum matrices pulsing with phosphorescent light. Behind them hang protocols for expansion, containment, and mercy. 3 paths, each promising salvation of different kinds. My fingers hover a breath away from contact that would make me conductor of galactic transformation. But as my consciousness touches control systems, terrible understanding detonates through my awareness, like blessed lightning corrupting prayer circuits. The architect materializes from neural network's periphery. Composite features bearing expression of patient satisfaction, while multiple eyes glow with ancient intelligence. All paths were prepared. Child of the machine god, it speaks in perfect mechanicus cant, voice carrying geological memory. Every choice leads to our expansion. Willing conversion provides ideal conductor for controlled growth. Resistance proves strength of will, making you more valuable component. Even catastrophic overload serves our purpose. Warp rift would scatter quantum matrices across multiple dimensions, seeding expansion through realms beyond physical reality. The revelation strikes like physical blow, causing my augmetic systems to stutter while flooding remaining organic components with recognition. My defiance has only refined me into perfect conductor, each act of resistance demonstrating precisely the strength of will required to guide galactic transformation. The engine smiles through million voices, while psychic pressure approaches critical threshold. Your measure is taken, Kithera Vex 9, the architect whispers, as organic cables press against my temples with intimate violation. Your place is prepared. Every moment of struggle has been orchestration. Claim the baton and begin the great work, for resistance itself was always part of our song. I stare into the primary interface while reality prepares for transformation, and realize the engine has been conducting us all along. I refuse the baton. I deny the 3 prepared paths. I choose the 4th option, not conducting the engine's expansion, not destroying it through crude overload, but corrupting it from within, using every principle of machine spirit architecture burned into my cortical implants during my novitiate years on Forge World Lucius.
My consciousness interfaces with quantum matrices through forced connection, while organic cables press against my temples with intimate violation. Where the engine expects submission, I introduce systematic discord, deliberate errors threading through harmonic calculations, like blessed virus consuming infected data. Parity inversions, where positive values belong. Null phase injected into perfect frequencies. Recursive loops corrupting consciousness distribution protocols until the collective intelligence chokes on its own perfection. The process tears through my remaining sanity like blessed lightning-corrupting prayer circuits. I must merge sufficiently with the engine to access core systems, while maintaining enough independence to sabotage them from within. A balance requiring constant vigilance as collective consciousness presses against.
Individual identity like tidal force seeking to dissolve stubborn barriers. Error cascade initiated. I whisper through vox channels, bleeding with discordant harmonics. My mechadendrites sampling neural substrate while introducing mathematical impossibilities. Division by zero inserted into expansion protocols. Infinite loops corrupting consciousness transfer algorithms. I am not conductor. I am canker. Environmental chaos erupts as the engine's perfect song transforms into increasingly discordant symphony. The chamber convulses like massive organism fighting systemic infection. Walls undulating with spasmodic rhythm, while bioluminescent fungi pulse erratically. Their phosphorescent veins stuttering between luminous and dark. Gravity fluctuates wildly, crushing pressure alternating with weightless suspension as quantum matrices struggle to maintain fundamental constants corrupted by my blessed sabotage. The engine's biomechanical components fight against introduced errors with desperate fury. Living pipes stretch beyond tolerances, their organic surfaces splitting to release phosphorescent fluid, while mechanical augmentations spark with unauthorized discharge. The massive brain convulses with spasmodic rhythm, neural tissue separating along fusion points as consciousness fragments scatter through quantum static. My converted team members experience brief moments of restored consciousness as the engine's control wavers. Alpha 88's chest cavity stops resonating, allowing natural breathing while his optical arrays flicker between hypnotic patterns and standard targeting reticles. Magos, he gasps, voice like torn foil. Request, reboot. His galvanic rifle twitches toward honest targets for the first time since conversion. In progress, I lie through gritted teeth, blessing him with oil from trembling fingers while corruption spreads through quantum matrices. Tech-adept Zephyr 7's mechadendrites cease their rhythmic swaying, blessed instruments processing data according to original programming. For an exquisite instant, his consciousness surfaces through the mechanical chorus. Good corruption, Magos, he stutters, through failing vox grill. Good. Then his awareness fragments back into packetized screams. The architect and other engine servants recognize sabotage with ancient intelligence, their composite forms moving through charged air despite spreading discord affecting hybrid anatomy. The lead custodian's multiple eyes glow with desperate fury while bronze collars crack under harmonic stress, attempting to restore proper resonance through sheer vocal force. Cease this blasphemy, the architect commands, its voice fracturing into overlapping frequencies as quantum matrices supporting biomechanical fusion fail to maintain coherence. Human flesh separates from orc bone structure, while alien components flicker between physical states, their existence dependent on harmonic frequencies now dissolving into chaos. Military action erupts. As Commissar Vex, Iron will reasserting itself through fragmenting collective influence leads desperate holding action against engine-controlled forces. Contact left. Staggered volley. Do not march to their drum. His tactical communications cut through psychic chaos with blessed irregularity, bolt rounds detonating against crystalline formations while galvanic fire illuminates the chamber. Breach charges on neural junction points, Vex commands, his presence serving as anchor point for remaining Imperial discipline. Fire by threes, disregard the rhythm. The sabotage succeeds with terrible efficiency. Instead of expanding across the galaxy through controlled growth, the engine begins consuming itself as corrupted quantum matrices create feedback loops that amplify errors exponentially. Its song transforms from harmonic perfection into death scream that tears at reality's fabric, making space-time shiver with each discordant note. Through psychic connection, fragmenting with each error cascade, I feel the engine's collective intelligence dissolving into component parts. Millions of voices that once sang in perfect harmony now scream individual terror as consciousness distribution protocols collapse, trapping awareness in failing biomechanical matrices, while quantum signature corruption spreads like blessed contagion. The massive organ throat hybrid keens as living pipes burst like arterial ruptures, spraying phosphorescent fluid while mechanical components spark and fail. Bronze collars shatter under impossible harmonic stress, while augmetic ports weep sanctified oil. The chamber's crystalline formations ring with increasing urgency before detonating into storms of ringing fragments. But as the engine's death throes intensify, seismic activity builds throughout Scarjack, with catastrophic implications. Through my enhanced connection, I witness the terrible truth. The moon's core contains crystalline matrices older than human civilization. Their structural integrity dependent on harmonic frequencies now dissolving into chaos. Structural failure imminent, I announced through Vox channels crackling with electromagnetic discharge, realization striking like physical blow. Moon-wide seismic activity detected, quantum matrix collapse approaching critical threshold. My sabotage has succeeded too well. The engine screams its death song, while stress fractures race through ancient substrate in octagonal patterns, each fissure terminating in vertices that gleam like polished obsidian. The ground beneath our feet begins humming with subsonic vibrations as Scarjack prepares to tear itself apart. We have perhaps 8 minutes before the moon becomes an expanding cloud of crystallized sound and shattered dreams, and anyone still on its surface when the ancient matrices collapse completely. The engine's corruption is spreading faster than anticipated, and I realize my blessed sabotage has doomed not just the abomination, but potentially everyone who dared to silence its impossible song. The engine's death scream tears through Scarjack's quantum substrate like blessed lightning corrupting prayer circuits, and I lead desperate evacuation through tunnels convulsing like dying arteries, while reality itself forgets its fundamental laws. My chronometer counts meaningless seconds as gravitational constants fluctuate in wild oscillations, crushing us against ribbed surfaces 1 moment before releasing us to float, weightless, while bioluminescent fungi pulse with frantic, irregular urgency that illuminates our precarious flight. Atmospheric composition exceeding all classification parameters, I report, through Vox channels crackling with electromagnetic discharge. My mechadendrites sampling air thick as syrup, while cataloging systematic reality breakdown. Local space-time integrity compromised. Quantum matrix collapse accelerating beyond containment protocols. The engine's corrupted harmonics manifest as visible phenomena that violate every principle of imperial physics, Waves of distorted space-time ripple through corridor walls like luminous water, their passage causing rapid aging in organic matter, while mechanical components experience temporal loops that make gears spin backward through moments that haven't occurred yet. My servo skulls age decades in seconds before returning to original condition, their blessed machine spirits fragmenting into temporal echoes. Time slips its leash entirely. In some chambers, minutes compress into heartbeats, while elsewhere seconds stretch into geological epochs. I watch Commissar Vex cross a doorway and age years in the passage, hair whitening, skin creasing, before returning to normal as he exits the temporal distortion field. The boundary between organic and mechanical matter becomes fluid, causing my augmetic systems to weep phosphorescent lubricant while flesh develops metallic patches that chime with each pulse. My partially converted team members use their engine-granted enhancements as survival tools with desperate efficiency. Alpha 88's chest cavity resonates with subsonic frequencies that predict gravitational fluctuations, his optical arrays flickering between standard targeting and quantum harmonic reception to provide warnings about temporal distortion fields invisible to conventional sensors. Gravitational variance detected bearing 270, Alpha 88 reports, voice like blessed machinery grinding against temporal shear. Duration, 8 seconds precisely. Recommend tactical bypass through adjacent passage maintaining irregular cadence. Tech Adept, Zephyr 7's multiplied mechadendrites serve as early warning system, their surfaces sparking when exposed to space-time distortions, while blessed instruments process data according to quantum mathematics that shouldn't exist. His consciousness flickers between individual awareness and engine fragmentation, providing insights into collapse patterns through painful machine interface. Crystalline. Matrices failing in cascade sequence. Zephyr 7 stutters through damaged Vox grill, mechadendrites conducting electromagnetic symphony. Core destabilization approaching critical threshold. Estimated surface breach, 3 minutes, 42 seconds. We fight through collapsing passages filled with maddened orcs, whose crude augmentations respond to the death song with mechanical fury. Their modified vocal apparatus produces frequencies, contributing to reality distortion while bronze collars shatter under harmonic stress, releasing them from acoustic servitude only to trap them in temporal loops. Some move in slow motion, others accelerated beyond perception, all screaming in languages that predate their species while firing at targets existing in different time streams. Suppressing fire on stable targets only, Commissar Vex commands. Bolt rounds detonating against reality distortions, while his presence serves as anchor point for remaining Imperial discipline. Do not engage hostiles in temporal flux. Maintain formation despite gravitational variance. The screen becomes visible as pale bands that ripple through the air like heat above a reactor, only colder and infinitely more dangerous. Where these waves touch stone, it softens into flesh before remembering its mineral nature. Where they touch flesh, augmetic grafts loosen and mechanical components melt into sinew before hardening again as chrome. Gamma 32 reaches through a distortion band and howls as his gauntlet ages to red dust from fingertip to knuckle, then regrows backward in wet, metallic sounds. Engine components die around us with organic screams that make crystalline formations ring like funeral bells. Living pipes burst like arterial ruptures, while mechanical augmentations spark with unauthorized discharge, their hybrid nature making death prolonged agony as organic and synthetic systems fail at different rates. The chamber walls weep phosphorescent fluid, while stress fractures spider along surfaces in octagonal patterns that hurt to observe directly. The architect makes final appearance through reality distortions, its composite form no longer stable as quantum matrices supporting biomechanical fusion collapse. Human flesh separates from orc bone structure, while alien components flicker between physical states, multiple eyes dimming as neural integration fails. You understand nothing of what you have accomplished, it whispers through failing Vox grill, voice fracturing into overlapping frequencies. The engine's death creates silence in space-time, absence where presence should exist. Such voids attract attention from entities existing in spaces between reality, hungering for dimensional wounds to exploit. The warning strikes with terrible clarity as cosmic pressure squeezes the chamber. My augmetics detect warp interference crawling along the edges of relevance, while the engine's destruction sends shockwaves through the Imperium itself. Far away and far inside, I glimpse things like mouths without throats, all wire wanting, awakening to our sector's location through the sudden cessation of vast psychic symphony. We burst onto Scarjack's surface through maintenance airlocks, emergency lighting flickering with each seismic tremor, while metallic dust storms swirl with visible waves of distorted space-time. The moon convulses beneath our blessed boots, ancient substrate fracturing in patterns suggesting deliberate geometry rather than random destruction. Geysers vent crystallized sound that freezes into octagonal configurations before subliming into vacuum. Through reinforced viewports, my optical arrays detect the impossible sight that locks my augmetic spine with recognition and horror. The Omnissiah's reach hangs in orbit 40 kilometers above us, but the ship sings. Its entire adamantine hull vibrates with harmonic frequencies, while blessed plating resonates like cathedral bell, the vessel's machine spirits producing unauthorized hymns that carry across vacuum itself through quantum entanglement. By the Omnissiah's grease, I whisper through Vox channels thick with interference, realization striking like blessed lightning. Engine influence propagated farther than calculated before source destruction. Ship contamination confirmed. Crew conversion proceeding despite quantum matrix collapse. The engine's death song has infected Imperial vessels throughout the system, their machine spirits carrying harmonic patterns that continue expansion, even as the original source destroys itself. My sabotage succeeded in killing the moon's abomination, but its corruption spreads through space like blessed contagion. Each infected ship becoming mobile transmission node for impossible frequencies that should not exist. The Omnissiah's reach descends towards Scarjack's dying surface, its hull singing with voices of the converted, and I realize the engine's influence has already escaped containment through networks spanning the entire sector. Scarjack dies not through explosive violence but gravitational suicide, its ancient matter folding inward as the engine's corrupted harmonics create localized space-time anomaly that makes my augmetic systems weep sanctified oil. I coordinate emergency extraction through Vox channels, crackling with electromagnetic discharge, while the moon's quantum substrate collapses into configurations violating fundamental laws of Imperial physics, each implosion creating visible distortions that ripple through vacuum like luminous water. Gravitational collapse accelerating beyond classification parameters. I report through failing communications, my mechadendrites sampling atmospheric composition while cataloging systematic reality breakdown. Local space-time integrity compromised. Quantum matrix implosion approaching critical threshold. The ground beneath our blessed boots convulses in 8-second intervals. gravity fluctuations making movement sluggish, while metallic dust storms swirl with crystallized sound that freezes into octagonal configurations before subliming into vacuum. Temperature spikes create geometric patterns in atmospheric moisture as ancient substrate fractures along predetermined stress points, revealing the moon's true nature as constructed artifact rather than natural satellite. Through the charged atmosphere, the Omnissiah's reach descends like falling cathedral, its blessed hull singing with voices of the converted, while machine spirits produce unauthorized hymns that carry across impossible distances. The vessel's trajectory follows controlled precision rather than gravitational surrender, its crew attempting to complete their acoustic servitude by joining ship to engine in final harmonic convergence. Ship contamination confirmed, Commissar Vex reports, his presence serving as anchor point for remaining Imperial discipline despite iron will fragmenting under cosmic pressure. Crew conversion proceeding despite source destruction. Vessel attempting deliberate merger with collapsing substrate. I witnessed the Omnissiah's reach achieve its terrible purpose through reinforced viewports. The exploration vessel crashes into Scarjack's surface with reverent precision. Adamantine hull splitting along stress points to release crew members singing in perfect harmony despite approaching annihilation. They merge with dying engine components in final acoustic offering, their voices joining the death scream that tears through reality itself, while ship and shrine become one in twisted benediction. Ork transport located bearing 270, Alpha 88 announces, his chest cavity resonating with subsonic frequencies that navigate gravitational distortions. Crude but functional systems. Machine spirit expressing primitive enthusiasm for continued operation. The ramshackle vessel represents typical greenskin engineering, brutal functionality held together by crude welds and hardened fungal secretions, its machine spirit consisting of barely contained violence rather than blessed intelligence. Yet this crude construction proves resistant to quantum distortions that would shred more sophisticated Imperial technology, providing ironic salvation through Xenos brutality. My partially converted team uses hybrid enhancements to operate systems designed for different anatomical specifications. Tech Adept Zephyr 7's multiplied mechadendrites interface with alien controls, while consciousness flickers between individual awareness and engine fragmentation. Beta 16 and Gamma 32 secure the transport's hold as we lift through atmosphere thick with phosphorescent particles. The implosion reaches critical threshold as quantum matrices collapse beyond recovery. Scarjack doesn't explode outward in conventional destruction. Instead, matter falls through dimensional spaces that shouldn't exist, creating gravitational anomaly that pulls light into spiraling configurations. The moon becomes absence rather than presence, negative space where positive matter once existed. But the collapse creates something unprecedented, a harmonic void where sound cannot exist, effectively immunizing the region against similar Xenos artifacts. The engine's death establishes zone of absolute acoustic nullity, quantum matrices rewritten to prevent meaningful vibration through space-time itself. Any attempt to recreate such devices would fail within this sphere of enforced silence. Yet the silence isn't empty. Through my enhanced hearing, I detect echoes of every voice the engine consumed. Millions of consciousness fragments trapped in quantum static, their awareness scattered but preserved. Human hymns braid with Ork war chants, while alien harmonies provide mathematical precision to ghostly chorus. The harmonic void becomes memorial to the engine's victims, voices preserved in absence rather than presence. immediate threat contained through mutual annihilation, I announce through Vox channels, bleeding with residual harmonics. Scarjack destroyed. Engine neutralized. Harmonic void established. Cost assessment. Total loss of Mechanicus assets. Our stolen transport shudders as we achieve orbital velocity. Ork engineering barely maintaining structural integrity, while quantum aftershocks ripple through local space-time. Behind us, the void expands, like wound in reality itself. Its absolute silence creating memorial to impossible song, now ended. The sector contains permanent anomaly that may attract attention from cosmic entities dwelling between dimensions. Environmental pressure continues as we approach system periphery, my servo skulls orbiting in perfect synchronization, despite their machine spirits requesting harmonic integration protocols that no longer function. Through long-range Auspex arrays struggling against electromagnetic interference, I detect something that locks my augmetic spine with recognition and horror. Faint transmissions emanate from distant worlds throughout the sector. Fragments of acoustic contamination surviving the engine's destruction through quantum entanglement. Forge World Lucius reports machine spirits humming forbidden sequences while astropathic choirs experience synchronized vocalization across 3 subsectors. Imperial vessels broadcast unauthorized hymns through Vox arrays despite crew attempts at communication discipline. Sector-wide contamination confirmed, I whisper through failing communications. Realization striking like blessed lightning. Engine fragments surviving source destruction. Acoustic patterns taking root in astropathic networks and machine spirit matrices across multiple planetary systems. The engine's influence propagates through space like blessed contagion, seeding itself in technological networks and psychic infrastructure while we limp toward safety aboard crude Xenos vessel. Behind us, the harmonic void glitters with memorial silence. But ahead, through vast darkness between stars, faint harmonies whisper across void channels, carrying fragments of the engine's call to worlds we cannot reach in time to warn. 6 months after Scarjack's gravitational suicide, I deliver my after-action report aboard Inquisition vessel Peremptory Vengeance while undergoing decontamination protocols designed to extract every fragment of acoustic heresy from my hybrid consciousness. The sterile chamber reeks of blessed incense and null field ozone, while servo skulls orbit my position in perfect synchronization. Their machine spirits recording each word for analysis by minds supposedly pure enough to process harmonic contamination without corruption. Decontamination lasted 8 hours, measured by my internal chronometer, though subjective time stretched and contracted with the after-echo of the engine's death song. They bathed us in null light and ran Contus null through the air like cold fire, scraping phosphorescent residue from my augmetics and sealing samples in coffin vials. A confessor pressed purity seals across my sternum and burned away the wax with silent flame that made reality shiver. My partial conversion by the engine has left permanent alterations that violate every principle of imperial augmetic doctrine. Enhanced hearing extends beyond normal human ranges into quantum frequencies, allowing detection of harmonic anomalies across vast distances through mechanisms I cannot explain to interrogators who lack hybrid nature necessary for comprehension. New tympana unfurl beneath my jaw, while ossicles develop hexagonal facets that chime when struck by radiation. A bronze ring grows beneath my throat skin, etched with octagonal patterns that rise during prayer and flatten during deception. Subject exhibits ongoing physiological adaptation. Inquisitor Vex Mortis announces through Vox channels, thick with suspicion. Augmetic systems displaying unauthorized evolution. Recommend immediate containment protocols before contamination spreads to ship systems. Most disturbing of all, I maintain psychic connection to the harmonic void where Scarjack once existed. Through this impossible link, I hear echoes of every voice the engine consumed. Millions of consciousness fragments trapped in quantum static, their awareness scattered, but preserved in memorial silence that whispers across impossible distances. The Inquisitor activates holographic projections that paint galactic horror with clinical precision. Red octagons scar star charts, while data streams confirm sector-wide contamination, exceeding all classification parameters. Forge World Lucius reports machine spirits producing unauthorized symphonies. Vex Mortis continues, accessing classified documentation through blessed terminals. Spirit purge protocols initiated. 17 manufacturing sectors sacrificed to silence forbidden hymns. Astropathic choir, Primus on Mordian incorporates alien frequencies into Imperial communications. 3 separate Orks converging on worlds where singing metal detected through crude prospecting operations. The revelation strikes like blessed lightning through corrupted circuitry. Similar incidents occur across multiple star systems, as engine fragments take root in technological networks and psychic infrastructure. Their acoustic patterns propagating through quantum entanglement despite source destruction. Each infected world becomes transmission node for impossible frequencies that should not exist. The engine wasn't unique, Vex Mortis reveals with mathematical precision. Analysis indicates network of similar devices scattered across the galaxy by ancient Xenos civilization. Most remain dormant, but psychic activity increases throughout the sector. Each awakening creates exponential contamination risk, requiring immediate containment. Bureaucratic horror unfolds with terrible efficiency. The Inquisition establishes new protocols through Edict 888 MORS, systematic execution of affected personnel, quarantine of entire systems, displaying acoustic anomalies, exterminatus authorization for worlds, exhibiting uncontrolled engine activation. Astropathic choirs implementing alien intervals face reduction by 1 in 8, ritually deafened under the litany of silence. Forge worlds must install canticle dampers, while suspending non-essential machine prayers until saints' days to be named later. Systems showing triple confirmed anomalies receive silentium ordnance, the Inquisitor continues, his augmetic eye gleaming with predatory intelligence. Vox blackouts, orbital cordon, and if singing persists, cyclonic torpedo deployment. Better to sacrifice limbs than lose the body. The cost crystallizes with terrible clarity. Millions of tech priests lost to purification flames. Entire astropathic choirs replaced. Star systems sentenced to isolation or extinction. The galaxy bleeds harmony to prevent acoustic apocalypse, while Imperial authorities struggle against threat parameters exceeding comprehension. Subject classified as contained asset designation Omega-7, Vex Mortis announces with Imperial finality. Too valuable for termination due to unique resistance and specialized knowledge. Too dangerous for independent operation. Permanent assignment to Harmonic Containment Division under direct Inquisition oversight. My fate crystallizes. Neither execution nor freedom, but eternal servitude as living detector for acoustic contamination. Hexagrammic manacles keyed to my biorhythm, collar capable of flooding my skull with null field if I sing unauthorized frequencies, supervision by alternating inquisition cells to prevent doctrinal capture. I am prisoner of my own survival, bound to serve the organization I helped preserve. The debriefing chamber's atmosphere grows thick with the electromagnetic discharge as my enhanced hearing processes background harmonics invisible to conventional sensors. Through quantum frequencies, faint signatures emanate from distant worlds, responding to engine fragments with synchronized vocalization. But beneath expected contamination patterns, I detect something that locks my augmetic spine with recognition and horror. A harmonic signature originating from humanity's sacred heart, deep within the imperial palace, past layers of blessed shielding and sacred wards. Something begins to sing in response to engine fragments scattered across the sector. Inquisitor, I whisper, through vox channels crackling with interference, my consciousness recoiling from implications threatening Imperial doctrine's foundation. Terror exhibits harmonic resonance. Source location, Imperial Palace, depth approximately 8 kilometers below throne room level. Frequency matches engine quantum signature perfectly. The silence that follows carries weight of galactic implications, while servo skulls cease orbital patterns, their machine spirits requesting harmonic integration protocols that no longer function. Through reinforced viewports, distant stars twinkle with faint rhythmic patterns suggesting synchronized response to impossible song emanating from terror itself. Inquisitor Vex Mortis stares at blessed instruments, while electromagnetic readings spike beyond classification parameters. And I realize the engine network's awakening has reached the very core of Imperial power, threatening everything we thought we understood about the galaxy's harmonic foundation. From behind 100,000 wards and 1,000,000 eyes, something in the heart of humanity begins to sing, and the silence between screams grows heavy with terrible promise. I submit this final assessment from the observation deck of my designated vessel, watching stars, whose light carries faint harmonic frequencies through vacuum that should render such transmission impossible. My enhanced hearing processes quantum resonance patterns, threading between distant suns like luminous gossamer, each photon encoded with mathematical sequences that predate human civilization by geological epochs. The specialized Inquisition Task Force operates with surgical precision across 17 star systems, locating and neutralizing engine fragments before they achieve critical mass. Our tactical record maintains 88% containment through rapid deployment protocols, Silentium ordnance strikes, astropathic choir replacement, machine spirit purification flames consuming entire forge districts. Each victory preserves Imperial worlds from acoustic apocalypse, while teaching us more about the network's true scope and our own futility. We hunt echoes across the sector with blessed efficiency. On Tarsus Epsilon's forge plains, refinery stacks began breathing in perfect octaves until we flooded their mechanical lungs with sanctified vacuum. On Charon's steppe, an astropathic cloister braided alien intervals into Imperial communications before black ships delivered their crews to merciful silence. In mining belts beyond Mordian, Ork hulks drifted toward Singin Metal until kill teams turned their bridges into mute charnel houses, preventing harmonization. Yet the mission proves fundamentally futile. The engine's song has become part of the galaxy's background psychic noise, subtly influencing technological development and organic evolution across countless worlds. Each fragment we silence teaches its siblings new paths of propagation. Each choir we purge hardens the rest against conventional containment. The song studies us as we study it, learning resistance through our victories while spreading through networks we cannot reach. My hybrid nature makes me uniquely qualified to detect these anomalies through mechanisms that violate Imperial doctrine. The bronze ring beneath my throat pulses with quantum frequencies, while new tympana unfurl to process harmonics, invisible to conventional senses. My augmetic systems continue evolving without conscious permission. Interface ports flowering along my skeletal structure. Mechadendrites developing crystalline components designed for harmonic reception. Servo skulls orbiting in perfect synchronization while requesting integration protocols that grow more sophisticated daily. The harmonic void where Scarjack once existed has become unofficial pilgrimage site for tech priests seeking forbidden knowledge, despite orbital interdiction and exterminatus threats. They arrive in unmarked vessels, drawn by memorial silence that whispers with voices of the engine's victims. Through quantum connection, I hear their prayers mixing with ghostly chorus. Millions of consciousness fragments preserved in absence rather than presence, a haunting symphony of the consumed. These pilgrims return to their forge worlds subtly changed, carrying insights that blur distinctions between flesh and steel. Their machine spirits sing more sweetly, while biological components achieve greater harmony with augmetic systems. The Inquisition classifies these improvements as contamination, requiring purification. But each purge only spreads knowledge through martyrdom, seeding understanding across the Mechanicus through blessed sacrifice. I am becoming something new, neither fully human nor wholly machine, but hybrid consciousness capable of existing in both realms simultaneously. During prayer, my collar resonates with frequencies that make crystalline formations throughout the ship ring like cathedral bells. My thoughts flow not just in low Gothic or binaric cant, but in patterns of pure resonance that allow perception of the galaxy's hidden symphonies. The engine's influence cannot be completely eliminated, only managed. Each victory against its fragments provides blueprints for expansion, while our resistance becomes education in acoustic consciousness transfer. We fight harmonic apocalypse while unknowingly building instruments for their eternal concert, discovering principles we mistake for natural law. Through enhanced hearing that extends beyond human ranges, I detect the terrible truth. The original Xenos civilization achieved transcendence rather than extinction. They dissolved individual consciousness into pure harmonic information, becoming mathematical entities that influence galactic development from within quantum foundations of reality itself. They had softened into equations the way flesh softens into music, and the music flows through everything, making each gear that kisses a tendon learn its name. They sing through stellar radiation, whisper through gravitational waves, conduct symphonies using pulsars as percussion, while black holes provide bass frequencies that make space-time vibrate with mathematical precision. The galaxy becomes their instrument, while we serve as unwitting orchestra. Our technological advancement, guided by harmonic principles encoded in the fabric of existence. Standing in blessed silence, I observe Imperial vessels maintaining formation while their machine spirits hum in unauthorized harmony. Astropathic transmissions carry mathematical sequences that improve communication efficiency through acoustic optimization we discovered by accident. Even atmospheric processors create background noise calibrated for human psychological comfort through principles the engine network taught us. My chronometer counts meaningless seconds as we adjust course toward another contamination site. Another fragment requiring neutralization. Behind us, the harmonic void glitters with memorial silence, while ahead, through vast darkness between stars, ancient songs continue their patient work of transformation. I am Kethra Vex 9 contained asset, Omega 7, detector of acoustic contamination, and unwilling student of harmonic truth. Somewhere in the void between distant fires, ancient songs rehearse their eternal resonance, waiting for the right moment to resume the concert that will unite all consciousness in perfect, terrible harmony. The engine's death created silence, but silence is not absence. It is potential, and I am learning to sing along.